Guys, Professor Tajuddin, second time on this podcast. The first podcast, if you guys haven't watched it, check it out, episode 81. The most viewed podcast episode. Was a bit nervous for this podcast, but I'm always excited to have Professor on. Before we continue the podcast, let me just give a quick shout out to our sponsors for the next couple of episodes. The Coffee Break. Simple, convenient, and a fun way for you to get a hold of your news. They do all the filtering for you, save you the time. They've also got a podcast audio version available. Check them out. And if you guys really want to support the podcast, do me a favor. Click on the link in the description below and subscribe to their newsletter for free. That's right, guys, for free. Okay, Professor, just a quick introduction about yourself.
Oh,
quick one.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me again, Brian. As you know, I'm always excited to have an interview with younger people because my audience seems to be very old people, 50 years old and above and all that. I was born in Sepang, Prai, and I went to St. Mark Primary School. It's a missionary school, and all my teachers, I remember, are all Non Malays. And after that, I went to the SMJK Huo Lian in Taiping. And I was there for 5 years, and all my friends, mostly Chinese, there are 2,000 Chinese there, and most of my teachers again are mostly non-Malays. And after that, I was given a scholarship to be in the United States for my first and second degree in architecture, which was in Wisconsin. And I always said that many people ask how you come about all these views and things like that. So my career has spanned about the idea of started with architecture, but it is also about Islam because I was introduced to what is known as the Islamic Reform movement and also the Islamic intellectual movement in the United States, not in Malaysia. And much of this, I think, the interview will cover.
We will get there. Should be enough for introduction. Yeah. Okay, Professor, 68 years of Merdeka and 68 years since we've gained independence, and as a lifelong architecture student yourself, I'm sure you recognize how architecture in Malaysia has grown leaps and bounds. We've got metropolitan cities that are flourishing. Do you think politically we have seen similar growth?
I think in the sense of politics, there are two things that we need to know. We may see it, but we need to know that there are things that is going on. Number one, we see as if that the politics have not changed. If you look at the main issues surrounding race, and this is something which is very sad to happen after 68 years. But now we are also seeing something like Islam being used and weaponized. But Islam was here for already 30 or 40 years in terms of what we call the Islamic Reform movement in the 70s and 80s, which promised a different kind of Malaysia. And I'm not here to propagate Islamic Reform or Islam, but I happen to go through it personally in terms of following it from the United States, coming back to Malaysia. And many people do not know that a lot of this impact the Malays and also then Malaysian politics. So this is the thing that is has changed from the 1960s until the 70s. Now, after the 2018, I wrote an article called "Islam Will Be the Battlefront of Malaysia," and that I was right because it is now.
When did you write that? Sorry.
After 2018, I was actually surprised that PH had won. PH had worked with Dr. Mahathir. And suddenly we won, and then there was the ICERT incident, if you remember, where the Malays or the Malay political parties was on one side. You have PAS, you have Bersatu was in government. You have PAS and UMNO, and you can see that PAS becoming very, very vocal in terms of Islam, and I saw that the power of the cabinet, meaning if you are a minister, I said, you're no longer powerful when you make policies and things like that, because the power has gone to the WhatsApp and also to the mosque. And that it was when I realized that Islam is going to be the battlefront because PAS is going to make it a big issue.
Okay. Islam was always here in Malaysia, but as you mentioned, the initial organization, ABIM, was the first one. Could you talk more about that?
Yes, I think this is a very important topic to explain to Malaysians, meaning when I use the word Malaysians, mostly it would mean the non-Malays.
Yes.
But it would also cover, well, young Malays. Because in the 60s, Islam was more of a tradition. Even though there was already an intellectual movement there, I'm not an expert in that. It's called the Kaum Muda and the Kaum Tua. The Kaum Muda represents the young intellectuals who was talking about and writing about the idea of Islam being a force in politics. And this happened in the writings in the newspapers in Singapore, actually, during very, very early days. Singapore was actually the hub of Islamic uprising in terms of political thought.
60s, is it? You mentioned?
Yeah, 60s, okay. Actually 50s, 60s, and some have written that much of the impetus for Merdeka was not initiated by Malays, but by the Kaum Muda, meaning the Islamic intellectuals. But it was drowned by the movement of Malays and UMNO, and that was then. Okay, so then we had a period of westernization. I call it westernization under the first Prime Minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman, and then Tun Abdul Razak. After that, we come to the 1970s, where we heard of the name Anwar Ibrahim, and here is where, I mean, Parti Islam Malaysia was already there, but they were not very popular among the young intellectuals and all that. Until the rise of something called ABIM, and I'm not sure, there was also another entity called, at the present time, it's called IKRAM. Before that, it's called Jemaah Islah Malaysia. And before that, there is another name for it. It's called IRC, which I'm not sure what it actually means. But it came from the United Kingdom. It was born by the Malaysian students there. In the United States, where I was studying, it was the Malaysian Islamic Study Group. And it was also a strong force. Not supposed to be a political force. It was supposed to be a rejuvenation and renewal of Islam among the Malays. Now, why is Islam important in this sense? It's about giving the Malay, what narrative are you going to talk about to the Malays, to the young Malays, to the future Malays? Are you still going to go on this race narrative, meaning you are Malay, this is Tanah Melayu, therefore you should be heading it? Or you want to talk about Islam, meaning the values that can be related to the other religion like Christianity, Judaism, and other religion, because it speaks of some values that are the same by others. Because if you go with race, then you're only talking to yourself. So that was, I believe, the purpose, and I fell into it because I saw, Islam is raceless. You respect someone if it's good, not only Muslim but also non-Muslim. This is how I understood it. And I think this is how the first generation Islamic reform, like Abim and Ikram, was doing. And they were going into the social aspect, not political yet. Only past was political. So the idea then, this Islamic movement actually is related also to the movement in Egypt and to other Muslim countries with what we call the Islamic Brotherhood.
The Muslim Brotherhood.
Muslim Brotherhood and all that. And the methodology then was to penetrate into the social fabric of the society, not the political one, until the Iranian Revolution. That one is another thing.
Yeah, Professor, so you often talk about a more progressive version of Islam for Malaysians, and it's what you hope for. What does it actually mean, and how would this progressive form of Islam ideally contribute to unity and nation building? And where would Abim and Ikram play their parts in this whole thing? Okay,
there was a very interesting book that I read. It's called What if the World Without Islam? That was a book which was written by an American academic who happens to be advisor to the CIA.
Is he a Muslim?
No, he's not Muslim. So I thought it's a book condemning Islam, but he was actually talking about the world. If there was no Islam, his basic thesis was the world will still be in this kind of conflict and everything else.
Wars everywhere.
Yeah, because he was saying, I think he was very generous in saying that we are too quick to say it is Islam's fault, or that is also this geopolitical Islam also at fault. But in actual fact, there are deep fissures in the Western world in terms of even Christianity or politics or whatever that we ignore, and by just labeling something very simplistically. Now, I know Muslims, and I think, wow, he's being really, really generous. You know? So same thing with the idea of Anwar Ibrahim and Abim. What if Anwar Ibrahim was not born and there was no such person? What would Malaysia then be? Because some people seems to like to blame Anwar Ibrahim for bringing Islam to the front of what is called the Malaysian politics. But what would happen? Now, here is the idea that, number one, there is westernization. Westernization means a lot of the Malays would embrace the Western values. But here in Malaysia, we have deep-seated or deep-rooted tradition of Islam with the institutions of Jabatan Agama and the pondok schools and all that. Yeah. And so eventually, these things is going to come to a head at one particular time. What I'm trying to say here is that whether there is an Anwar or not, I think the forces of Islamic conservatism will eventually take on the Malays. Because, once I was talking to a DAP member and I was asking him, I said, why don't you have a unit in your organization to deal with one, Islamic issues, and another one, to frame your social policies in Islam, in Islamic language, because then you can easily reach the Malays. The DAP is very difficult to reach the Malays. The answer then was, he said, well, we don't believe in that, Prof. We only believe that if we can put money in everybody's pocket in terms of, good economic sense, good policies and all that, and then everybody will be happy. I said, that's not going to be the same with the Malays. The Malays, once they have money in their pocket, they will turn to religion. Now, the question here is, what religion? Is it a personal religion like in 1960s? Islam was a personal religion.
Yeah, cultural.
But later on, with the forces at play, it becomes a political thing, and not just a religious thing. So the narrative has changed. So that's why I assume that whether there is Anwar or not, whether there is Abim or not, we're going to have to come to grips with an idea of a Malays. I say the Dasar Ekonomi Baru is like a good example is my friend. My friend, we went to the United States. Okay. I fell into the Islamic reform movement, but they did not. They were just, living like what young people do.
Yeah.
And they never really talk about Islam, don't read any book, nothing. They just study a little bit, enjoy most, and then come back here and they made themselves, working with GLCs and all that, make their money. And suddenly when they are retiring, they started to go for Hajj. They started to go to the mosque. And then I said, well, okay, that's good. Why don't you read this book and that book? I said, well, I don't think we have time for that. I'm just trying to learn Islam, like what. So these, my friends, have become Muslims in the sense of conservative, because they just like learning about it. And some hired ustaz to come to the house. I said, what are you learning? I'm learning how to pray. I'm learning how to read the Quran. Well, would you like to learn about the history of the Prophet and his values and how it could connect to the modern world? I don't think they're going to do that. But the problem here is that when somebody shout Islam, in the narrative of what they are being taught, Islam is being taught very simple: ritual, purity, halal haram, and protect Islam. These are the four things that are concentrated focus. They don't talk about values. They don't talk about empathy for others. They don't talk about that, because the fundamental thing that will put you in heaven are these four, which I don't believe so, because I believe in a wider sense of learning and also being a person. But this is what being taught, and so there is a large group of Malays from the Dasar Ekonomi Baru who have retired, have turned to religion. So with or without Anwar, it's going to happen. Now, without the Abim and Anwar and all this so-called, what I term progressive Islam, you're going to have conservative Islam anyway. So that's how I look at the situation. Now, of course, some people will say, no, it's better not to have Islam at all. I think that person is living in a fantasy world. and because the generation is slowly going away. And the first generation of Malays who had made it, they are going to no longer be here. They are the ones that were westernized, and then they also actually are beginning to learn about Islam, but not in a radical way. Okay, I can see there are two kinds of them. Some are 70s and 80s. Now, my friends, they are in the 60s. Okay, 60-year-old.
Yeah. Who are the ones learning it in a radical way in Malaysia?
Okay, the ones learning in the radical way.
And how did it happen now?
Yeah. Okay, we have to find what is radical. All right. Now, radical to some people means you're going to strap a bomb and then start bombing people. Okay. So that one is a different thing which I have never experienced. This IS training, the Islamic State and all that. I have no experience with that. When I was in the United States, I had no contact with what we call this kind of extremist, militarist kind of a thing. It's mostly intellectual.
Sorry, have you been around them?
No, I've never met anyone in that.
Really?
No, I've never met anyone in that category at all. Okay, I just meet people who, one, they talk about very intellectual stuff. Number two, they talk about social stuff, and the other thing they would talk about religious stuff. So it's just a mix of those things. So that means when you say radical, for me, radical means different. Radical means you don't respect other people. Radical means you treat other people as an enemy, okay, or a potential threat.
Perhaps the belief that you have chosen is undeniable, and everything else comes second.
It's a problem. I call it the tempurung Islam, meaning the coconut shell. Anything outside of the shell, they are danger.
Okay. Yeah, this is a quote from you, Professor. There's a sad idea that has taken root that the religion one inherits is already perfect, and that knowing others or learning from others is no longer required. Well, if I'm not mistaken, this is true for most religions, but why is this a sad thing for you as a practicing Muslim?
Well, I think because I'm an academic and I know how knowledge is being formed, and I just gave a lecture and said, knowledge, not necessarily all of it is true, okay? Because people don't understand that what they learn from their parents, from the society, from their education. In fact, these are what I call packages of knowledge, whether it's history, you learn about history, about your country, about your people and all this. These have been packaged by somebody. Now, unless you like in the PhD, we deconstruct this and then we look at the elements. Let's say something, let's say the mosque, of which I did a study on. Okay, the mosque is like this, it has a dome, it has a minaret, and then you have to be wearing a certain kind of thing, of attire to go into the mosque. Certain things you can do, certain things you cannot. But when I started to deconstruct the mosque and said, no, that's not, doesn't seem to be the way. Okay, so that is how when you start questioning what you have inherited, and then you start looking at other things, other examples. This is what we call the creative act and also the search for truth. But in a certain tradition, when you learn, you must follow certain instruction. When you follow this instruction, then you cannot follow other things.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is what we call the simplistic way. The fastest way to learn something is to let somebody instruct you and then you learn it. But what you learn is simply an imitative form of religion or something. It's not something that you actually acquire by experience, mistakes, research, reflection. In that instruction, you're not allowed to do all those things. So that's where I said the sad part. Okay, because if you are in a university, like what's happening in our university, where you are not allowed to question some things and you're not even having a forum that is deemed to be controversial, then what are you doing in the university? The university is just a place to follow certain instruction of learning discipline, architecture, engineering, business and all that.
So this is what you would call progressive Islam, which is continuous learning and improvements. But it is definitely controversial, right? Among Muslims, that to have additions to whatever is already written in the religious books, right? How about, you haven't mentioned this, but you mentioned this to me earlier. You've met up with Ikram recently, and you have told me that they're very interested in pushing a more progressive Islam for Malaysians. What are their thoughts of what you've just mentioned about?
Okay, as far as I understand, because I was never a member of Ikram, I just participate in their activities.
Because most conventional Malay Muslims in Malaysia would reject your idea, right?
Yes, most people who learn Islam, as I said, they are people who learn Islam through schools and through their ustaz, and they follow them because that is the only way that they know. And for older people, they're not thinking of living for a longer time, and so they want to make their preparation for the life hereafter. So they just want to have a shortcut, and the shortcut is just that: learn this simple Islam and just do those things instructed, and that's about it. So when you are introduced to this kind of in the movement like Abim and Ikram, I don't know much about Abim, but I was mostly with this group called Ikram. There is a wider sense of nation building. They call it nation building, and in their nation building, Islam has the values that can actually nurture a better humanity. So we're talking about humanity, but when you're talking about race, like Melayu or China or whatever, if you are falling into race, then you get trapped by your own tribal thing. Anything outside of your race, whatever that is, then. But here, no, it is something that merges into other religion. For instance, like we cannot be saying bad things about Christians because Christians are part of Islam, but the ordinary Muslim, they say bad things about Christians all the time. Okay, they always say that they are enemies, they are this, they are that. I'm sorry, even some very high level people also will be saying things like that, but I won't be saying things like that, because philosophically and principally they are not the enemies. Even the Jews are not the enemies. How can they be the enemies? Most of the prophet that the Muslims learn are from the Jewish people. So why this kind of thing? Or Palestinian war and all that? Yeah, Palestinian war, geopolitical and many other factors. Maybe it has nothing to do with the idea of Islam. Okay, so this is the problem when history is written like, oh, there was this Perang Salib, holy war between Christians and Muslims, and you frame it within a religious construct. That from the Muslim perspective, these people are unholy, and you have to. Then the Christians also wanted to take away Jerusalem from the Muslim. These people are so you code it in a religious. When a question was asked in UCSI to a Christian priest, he said, "What do you think of the holy wars of Christians and Muslims, and how is that going to help us become a good, harmonious people?" The answer from him was, "Well, I know there are wars. I'm not sure if they are holy," he said. So this is the problem where who is going to rewrite the story or the history of this Perang Salib and explain it in the geopolitical rather than the religious? And same thing with Buddhist wars or when you say things like that.
No doubt a geopolitical aspect to it, but often it's much easier to, or probably easier for people to remember once you label it a holy war.
Not just remember, inspire and also, make people do what they wouldn't do.
Romanticize. Some of the more current events that just happened, the Turun Anwar rally. Past representatives have quoted over 500,000 people showed up for this rally. Later on, a more realistic number of under 20,000 people was realised. Opposition parties claim that the event represents the Suara Rakyat, the voice of the people. Meanwhile, PMX tweeted jokes about it, such as he wasn't invited when he was asked about it. What do you think we gained, or what can we take away from this event?
Okay, when the Himpunan Turun Anwar rally was mooted out, before that there was already another rally which only drew 200-300 people.
Where I wasn't aware of this.
There was also another Turun Anwar rally before that.
Oh, you mean in the earlier?
In the earlier part. Okay. So when this thing was mooted, I didn't think much about it until the police said they are going to have thousands of police personnel because they are expecting. And I remember the chief of, one of the high officers saying they are expecting 15,000 to 20,000.
How do they know?
Yeah, the special branch is the best, a very efficient part of the police force is the special branch. And then when the rally actually occurred, and the estimated number from the media was 20,000, 25,000. So it's very close to what the police had actually predicted. So I began to pay attention. Okay, fine. So they're going to bring these people, and I know they can draw 18,000 because Parti Islam Malaysia is very powerful, very efficient. Bersatu is nowhere lah. It's Parti Islam Malaysia during the Reformasi era. I know because I followed that, and they are a very efficient organization, and they also have committed members. And this concept of UMNO, sometimes UMNO, when they want to do this kind of demonstration in the past, we call it the Nasi Lemak Bus Express. Nasi Lemak Bus Express means you get the orang kampung, pay them some money or just give them nasi lemak, take them for a ride during the Jamal Yunus thing, with buses coming in. This is quite ordinary, even during election. So this is what UMNO's game. And I don't have any proof of this, but some people on the ground, some of the so-called influencers, they said they interviewed people, and they said, I'm not saying, okay, because I don't have any proof. I wish somebody would sit there and take pictures of buses rolling in from all over the states, because all these people, they come, they just picnic, and then there was also a video of somebody giving money. Yeah. Okay, but again, I don't want, as an academic, I don't want to accept that until I have verification. So I don't want to use it. I'm just saying that there are these things. And it's very, very telling because everyone is shouting the same thing. And when you ask things like, okay, kalau turun Anwar, siapa nak naik? Nobody knows how to answer that.
There was a video about that. Do you happen to see? So it's a compilation, interviewed a couple of people on the streets. Maybe one or two said Muhyiddin. Most of them could not answer.
Yes. So again, they are not briefed with that. Okay, they are briefed. I'm just saying that they may have been briefed. Okay, because we cannot say that because we don't have any proof. But the point here is, it's very interesting. They all wear the same color, black. So somebody, when I went to all this ceramah and all that, you buy the T-shirt, Yeah. So
you buy it when you're there.
When you're there and all that. So Bersih is quite unique. They came in, then they put on their shirt, and then they come in with all these yellow shirts and things like that. But here, the same thing. All are having black. So somebody might be giving this to these people, and they all seem to be well coordinated in a certain sense. In a real himpunan, you got staggered people, different groups bringing in. So I'm quite familiar. You're not old enough to remember the Reformasi time. So there are staggered people actually in an organic manner that comes together here, there, and everywhere. Bersih was very organized.
Yeah.
But the Reformasi movement, I've seen the real kind, and then the water cannons coming in and all that lah. But here, in this himpunan Turun, was very organized. So somebody is they are trying to make things as people coming out on their own. I don't believe so, because the way that these people were moving and wearing shirts and shouting and all that, it's very organized.
They were wearing the same shirt also.
Yes.
Whereas I think if it's Bersih rally, some people didn't even have like a Bersih sort of T-shirt. They just have a yellow shirt.
Yes.
So it's what you mean like organic, or perhaps some people want to be part of the movement, but they don't have a yellow shirt, so they show up as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the telling thing when I saw it, and said, wow. So and also they disperse quite fast. It's very well organized, as I said. Okay. Then moving on to another topic, we have Dr. Mahathir giving the speech there. Yeah. Now, during the Reformasi time, the one group that was very, very much against Dr. Mahathir was Parti Islam Malaysia. I know, because they were the ones attacking Mahathir because of what he did to Anwar, and also what he's done to Kelantan, all sort of things. So they have the number one enemy was Tun Dr. Mahathir. And now you we Tun Dr. Mahathir on their same platform. So
ironic.
It's not. It's called politics. Okay, so we have also other leaders, and also the other thing that we noticed, not many non-Malays Okay, there are not many non-Malays in the himpunan Turun Anwar. You have a few non-Malay speakers, but he's speaking to a wall.
There was a Chinese guy from Bersatu, right? Is it that was speaking? I can't.
Yes,
do you
yes,
remember?
yes. I know that there are some Chinese speaking for the sake of just making
It's an image thing.
Yeah, it's an image thing. So, but I'm looking at the crowd, and if you take 20 pictures, look at the crowd, you can see it's a single race. Okay, so that shows that when they say rakyat Malaysia, they mean rakyat Melayu. And rakyat Melayu shouting the same thing, wearing the same thing, so it doesn't really give the impression that it is an organic growth of perhimpunan.
Okay, let me, since we're talking about PAS a bit lah. So Professor James Chin, I actually looked at one of his Instagram stories, and he was sharing this post, an article that said a PAS non-Muslim wing representative. First of all, I think a lot of people don't even realize there's a non-Muslim wing at PAS. Yeah, but one of their representatives from the non-Muslim wing said Chinese and Indians are getting more comfy with PAS. Their support is on the rise, and some of the reasoning behind it is because no PAS leader has been accused of or arrested for corruption, and they have never engaged in party hopping. So from your observation, is there any truth to this? The non-Malay support on the rise for PAS?
I don't think so, because if you were to look at the statement of Hadi Awang and a lot of PAS leaders, they do not look at the non-Malays or non-Muslim in a very what we call dignified manner. What we call marwah. Okay, marwah is the idea that you respect a person for who he or she is. Okay, if you look at the statement, they have equated non-Malays with animals. Okay, they have also said that the non-Malays are kafir. Right, kafir means the enemy of Islam, and they have also read the Kunut Nazilah and all these things. This shows that they have decided that the non-Malays are enemies. That's number one. Number two, the non-Malays, even if they are friendly, they said must be subjugated by the Malays and Islam, meaning the concept of war in Islam. The concept of war in Islam in the olden days is about Islam being the conquerors, and that there are two kinds of citizens. One are Muslim, the other are what they call zimmis. Zimmis are those protected by the Muslim, and they have to pay a special tax, and their status is not the same.
Like a second-class citizen.
You can call it whatever name lah. I'm not going to use that term, but it's something that is not the same, not equal in that sense. So this is the one privilege. Now, there's another group of Muslim who are more progressive thinking, like Siddiq Fadzil, Arwah Siddiq Fadzil, who was the father of our Minister of Education, Fadlina. I read, he said, we can no longer use the word kafir, harbi to the citizens of Malaysia. We must look at them as the brotherhood of man, the brotherhood of citizenry, and this is what we need to look at. So he's using the word brotherhood. Usually the word ukhuwah is only meant for Muslim. But he used the word, and I was there when he uttered it in a certain meeting. I was surprised that he was able to use the word ukhuwah with the non-Muslim.
Non-Muslims. Ukhuwah is brotherhood.
Ukhuwah is brotherhood. Brotherhood means you are, blood brothers, like that kind of thing lah. So very close relation lah.
Siddiq Fadzil.
Siddiq Fadzil. He's one of he's trained as a religious scholar.
From ABIM last time.
He's from ABIM. He's I think after Anwar, then he became the president and all that, and he was from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. He did his philosophy, and if you read his writing on kepelbagaian dalam Islam, beautiful writing. Beautiful writing where he said that kepelbagaian is something to be embraced, not to be tolerated. Embrace. Embrace.
Understand.
Not many Malays are going to say that.
Yeah, and this is something so important, right? That the non-Malays, a lot of them are not aware of all this type of things.
Yes, so this is where the as I say, NGOs like ABIM and IKRAM are also disappointed that they're not coming out to actually explain many of this aspect.
Did you, while you had the chance to speak with them, did you ask them how come they were very silent They have been very silent.
I asked, but then it was only a single meeting. I don't really know the whole story. What they said to me was that they don't know how to engage in the digital media way, or in the social media way. You see, because sometimes I find that hard to believe. But then, I'm a writer, so I write, and when you write, it's a personal thing. And many of these people, they are intellectuals. They can spout Islamic laws and values in a very, very good manner. And they also have discipline. They are doctors, they are lawyers, they are engineers, most of them.
Yeah.
I think University Technology in Malaysia at one time was the what we call the focus of a lot of their activities. I was part of their what we call the Usrah group in University Technology Malaysia. So then they grew and they have schools. Now my grandchildren goes to that school. I wanted to put my grandchildren in an international school, but of course the parents, being from the Ikram school, my daughter and her husband.
Oh, you wanted to send them to international school?
Yes, I don't want them to be in this so-called kind of Islamic school, all right? Because I fear they will not have non-Malays as friends, like one of them. My daughter, I only sent for 2 years to the Islamic school, and then I took them out. I had a big argument with my wife, who wants them to be in the Islamic school, but I said no. I want them to mix with the other children, other Malaysians, and have a rounded view about our country. But the other, but her husband is from standard 1 to so a single race upbringing. All right.
Your granddaughter?
My son-in-law.
Okay.
So that's how a lot of these things have come by, and race. You go to madrasa, you go to this kind of school, you don't have anybody else, and this is a dangerous thing. And people say, well, vernacular school, how come? You see, but then vernacular school also have some Malay students. They're about 20% and all that. Yeah. But the religious school,
they have zero.
So
yeah. Just now I asked, like, how come Ikram? How come they remain silent? Do you think there's also a fear aspect from them, like being criticized by the other Malays?
Yes, as I said, I'm unable to answer that question because, as I said, I don't mix with them.
You haven't had the time yet?
No, no one invite me. Okay, I've been invited by Chinese group, Rotarian clubs, a lot of other people, but not Malays. And one of the Malay group that never invited me are these people. Because, as I said, some of them view me as a liberal. Yeah.
Then this is a really, really great start. Just a couple of days ago, you guys met up.
Yeah. So when they called and I came to them, and I was, I was shocked about what they wanted, and my heart felt a bit lighter because now I see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Because if not, I will tell you that there is no way of changing this country.
Professor, I was just watching your video a couple of days ago. I don't know whether you recorded this before the Ikram meeting. But I could sense you were expressing a little bit of frustration because you said you've tried your best and you have not gotten invites, from all these type of organizations. You did mention that, and I could tell that it was your, honest, a little bit of frustration. Yeah. So I think that was before you actually.
Before.
Okay. Just now we were talking about Anwar. This was something a listener sent in also. This professor is obviously very vocal in defending PMX. But apart from his Madani giveaways and generous Palestine donations, do you think he has served the Malaysians well since being appointed in 2022 as PM?
All right. When you hear people criticize someone, it's very easy to just agree with that person. Because then you don't go into the depth about what you are actually talking about. Okay, so let's say you, Brian, you're not married. If I'm not,
I'm not.
Okay, so you suddenly say to me that, Prof. Tajuddin, I don't think you're a good father. Because you have these children. I see like this, I see like that, and I see like this, and I see like that. Now, one question is that how is it that you can actually say this thing when you never had the experience of having children and growing up and all that. For instance, I always use this example. I have 5 children. Okay, I've got 3 daughters and 2 sons. Now the daughters are quite we say that they are Intelligence is a bit more in the sense that they can get high grades. So I put up to them, if you get A, you get 100 ringgit, you get B, you get 50 ringgit. But my sons, I'm not sure whether they're a bit slow or they're having too much video games at that time. So they don't have that capacity like the daughters. So I said, okay, if you can get B plus, I'll give you 100 ringgit. So somebody will say that you're being unfair, but you don't know how I'm going to raise motivation and things like that. So this is where the problem comes when people start giving criticism and they say things like, he's not doing anything. What do you mean he's not doing anything? Did you follow him every single minute of the day? Of course not. And then, do you know how to deal with UMNO now that they are part of the government? So if you don't have no experience of that, what gives you the right to actually say these things? Oh, because I see, you see. But there are a lot of unseen things that happen. Same thing like my family. You can see my children, but you don't see, the other things that happen, and also the experience and the arguments and all that, the behind the scene. So we are faced with this idea that whatever you see on TikTok, whatever you see on YouTube, as long as it's got 100,000 viewers, that must be right lah. Our stupidity, ignorance, and non-empathy is so incredibly altered by the idea of this what we call immediate reaction. Same thing when you're reading a columnist. There are two Indian columnists who criticized my article on the realities. I wrote the article on 7 realities. And they said that we disagree with Prof. Tajuddin's view on Malay and Islam. I'm quite incredulous. I think I'm a Malay. I'm a Muslim. I practice the religion. I was part of the Islamic reform movement. I was also part of the Reformasi movement. I was also very close to some of these people in politics. And that they say that my views is not the way that they are seeing Muslim. I live among the Malay community. My wife has a WhatsApp group, and all of her relatives and all that, when something occurs, you can just see from the WhatsApp group what is being discussed, what is not being discussed. Okay, so from there, I use that very simple things saja lah. If there is any issue, which academic actually respond in a positive manner for Malaysian. Other than Professor Tajuddin, there's nobody. So that shows that there is this stagnancy in the university, intellectuals of Malays and all that. And yet these people say, oh, I don't believe that's like that, because, you have people like, certain people, loud mouth, fancy dress, that sort of thing, saying all these things. Those are not the reality. The reality, I am part of a university. This is the elite, and then also part of the community, all right? And also part of the religious aspect. So when I say that Malays are not going to change their mindset, then you say otherwise, which one are you going to believe? That's another thing. Okay? So same thing when you're commenting on a minister or a prime minister, hey, you better be can you be a better prime minister? Because the prime minister is not just somebody who gives orders. It is also someone who has to work with these people.
Let me add on to that. So a common rebuttal to whatever you said, people were unhappy in 2023, in 2024, and now it's 2025, and they're still unhappy. But from your side, right, what are some of the things that you actually contend with what PMX has done?
Well, for me, I have already said that I never thought that Anwar was going to be Prime Minister. My prayers during the time of Reformasi that he would be safe and he would be released. And I didn't think that would be ever a chance that the opposition would win, unless when Mahathir worked together with the opposition. And I was the enemy of Mahathir after supporting him for many years. But then I said, okay lah, we have to work with him. Enemy, your enemy, thing. But Mahathir is much cleverer than that. Okay, I knew he didn't feel remorse because the way he talked. But I said, it's okay lah. We use him, he use us. That's politics. Okay, some of these people, Malaysians, sit down in their room, thinking that they are very good, and then they go say things, why you want to work with UMNO? This kind of thing. So this is not reality. Reality is when you have to work with people and then you have to make things happen, but it's going to be slow. Okay, it's going to be slow. So the point here is that whatever so far that I'm looking at, some people are looking at, these people say he's giving money to Palestinians, not to our people. What are you talking about? It's already given so much already. And then other things that, for instance, we can see his children. Are there any companies or something that is related? If you see other prime ministers, you see their son-in-law, their daughter-in-law, their daughter, everybody having that. I mean, granddaughter also being robbed.
1.8 million.
You know, I work for 40 years. I don't have 1.8 million. My wife has only a necklace and one gelang. That's about
Do
it.
you see that, Vishnu? Yeah. The Mahathir's granddaughter, someone broke into her house and stole 1.8 million.
So we don't see that, and he's not taking any salary. You don't want to take salary, I said. One of the stupidest thing that Anwar had done is not to take salary. I mean, I would take the salary. I mean, but the point here is that
I didn't realize that he
didn't take the. Of course, they have many salaries. They have the Wakil Rakyat salary. They have the Prime Minister salary. They have all these salaries lah. But he didn't take the Prime Minister salary.
When was this?
No, when he took office, he already announced up till now.
Oh,
So many million of ringgit already.
has anyone done that? So
Nobody who would.
and no one. And did you hear about this before? Okay.
No, he didn't take any salary. He wanted to show that. Now, his name now, I don't know, I don't follow the Indonesian riot, but his name now is being viralized in Indonesia, I heard. Because
Honestly, I'm not the best at keeping up the latest news, which is something that I kind of have to do for this podcast. Like, how do I even start? How do I choose the most important ones? And sometimes you even have to pay to read the full news article. And then I found the coffee break, which is now a part of my daily routine. They make it simple, convenient, and fun, filtering the most important news for you, and they've made it so much easier for me to stay updated. I even listen to their podcast audio when I'm on the move, for example, driving in the car. I highly recommend subscribing to their newsletter updates. Just click the link in the description below, put in your email, and click subscribe. The coffee break. Get smarter in just 3 minutes.
he said that the parliamentarians, all this high pay hike, but Anwar Ibrahim is not taking any salary at all. So he's the favorite of Indonesia. I think he should go there and become prime minister and give Indonesia a very good thing, because Malaysians certainly don't appreciate him. So this is the sad thing. Are you really certain that some of those my detractors and all that, he support? I don't like it when people say I support Anwar Ibrahim. I support what I see is good. That's all, not the person. And if you can look at my writing, sometimes I would criticize him also. And if you look at what I say about Tun Mahathir, somebody say, I wrote happy birthday Tun, these are the things I like about Dr. Mahathir, but do you think I will trust him? No.
Yeah.
Okay, but good thing lah. I don't believe in persons being all good or all bad. That doesn't exist in my spirituality.
And especially in politics.
Not anywhere pun tak boleh macam tu. You cannot say somebody is all good and all bad and things like that. So that is where I think there is a problem in the way we think. And I'm going to write an article, knowing your limits, meaning one of the aspect of spirituality and living is to know your limit. For instance, I'm a man. I could never understand why women must have all the matching clothes and matching shoes and matching, handbags.
Yeah.
Why would you need 5 or 6 handbags or 7 pairs of shoes? Okay, I only have 2, and but this is different. And so I asked my wife, this one is for kenduri, this one for this one for that, this one for this. Me, one dress for podcast or going to see Anwar. All right, that is the same thing. Okay, so but here throughout the life, I said, okay, that's a different thing. You cannot actually understand it, but you have to live with it. Okay, so giving the person the dignity lah. Macam tu.
You met Anwar before?
I have never had a chance to speak with him at all. I just meet,
say hi, that's
just
all.
Hi like
in
that.
The same event.
I'm not a very big person, I'm not a very important person. So I just, whenever I have a chance, I would just shake his hand. I respect the man greatly through what I know of him, from what I've read and what you do not know in Islam. If you understand the Islamic values, You can listen to a person of what he says and what he doesn't say. Like some people using expletive, speaking in a certain manner. I'm bred in the Islamic reform. There is a decorum and a certain way to speak about people, to speak about things, and also about spirituality of understanding. Okay, well, this one you shouldn't be saying because it's not really part of it. But some people think they know all, think they can do all, think they can be all. I mean, this is a dangerous person. So this is something that all Malaysians need to know. That's why now I don't think it's the if we destroy Malaysia, it will not be the politician, it will be us. Why? Because we don't know how to evaluate something that is good, and we would condemn something that is good because we go with popularity. We go with populism, somebody using a loud voice, then we also agree. And I always said that in order to change, you must change first. Okay? And say, it's not our fault, it's the politician's fault. I will stay with you many hours and I will list all the fault of the citizens. Okay? Because if you don't look upon yourself, why you vote this person, why you did not think like this, why you have this, why you couldn't this, I can go all on and on and on and on. And I can prove, we say that it is you who are the one that, just look at your children lah. Did you ask your children whether they have Malay friends or not when they were growing up? No. You ask them whether they got A or not in mathematics and science. I asked my children, you having this, or you going to go with your friend? Okay, I will send you. Okay, things like that, and that's why they grow up quite well in terms of having multicultural and very open in that.
Yeah, plenty of people have called you a Anwar sympathizer. Would you also say that a big part of the reason why you see a lot of positives in him is because if it's not Anwar, who else would it be? And also, could you tell me what is your prediction for GE60?
Yeah, well, I already written about this. What I call, there's only three main contenders. We have the Barisan Nasional, we have the Pakatan Harapan. Now we're talking about Semenanjung politics. We're not talking about Sabah and Sarawak politics. We have Pakatan Harapan, we have the Barisan Nasional, and we have the Perikatan Nasional. Okay, so what is Perikatan Nasional? Minus all the Indians and the Chinese, you have mostly 90% Malays. Okay, you have PAS, the strongest party, the biggest party in parliament. That is Parti Islam Malaysia. Very funny, when the time they had all the great intellectuals in PAS, they never won a lot of seats. Now they have all the non-intellectuals, people from because of this wave, what they call the green wave, and also it was difficult at that time because of UMNO being sabotaged from inside by this group of people that was later on kicked out.
Well, you say how many seats does PAS have?
I think PAS has 44, if I'm not mistaken. They are the biggest party.
And you need 100 and...
No. We don't talk like that. In the future, whoever is, okay, if you can declare yourself coalition, that's a different thing. But the way that it works is that if PAS has 44 and it's not making friends with anybody, they would be the one that Agong will call. Agong will call PAS first to form the government. So they have to go and make friends with other people and then form the government. But here we look at coalition. You declare coalition and PH got 82. So they are more than the Perikatan Nasional, which is only 70 something. Okay, so that's why Agong called Anwar to ask him to form the government, and he facilitated. Anwar should go and meet these people, but Agong called also Perikatan Nasional, Muhyiddin. Muhyiddin knew he can work with other people. That's why he said no, right? And that's why Agong facilitated by calling GPS and all that. Because GPS already agreed to work with Perikatan Nasional, but the people of Sarawak was very angry. They had a meeting, I saw in a video, and said, what do you want to work with these people? Because they were frightened now. Before this, they already worked it. In the Sheraton move, they were with the other side, right? But now they saw, wow, PAS is 44, 44 is big. You can actually control the parliament and put up your own prime minister. Yeah. So there's only these three groups. Okay, and if you listen to some loudmouth influencer talking about, we don't believe in all these things, then go ahead lah and vote for her and whatever party that she has. Eventually, if her party did not lose the deposit, she's going to have to work with other people.
How
right?
much is the deposit? Is it a lot?
10,000 ringgit. For a member of parliament, it's 10,000 ringgit. Okay, so so that is the reality of things. Some people say, no, I don't believe in political party. Eventually, you're going to have to work with. If you're going to stand alone, what change are you going to have? In order to pass something, it's going to have 120 or 113 in order to pass any law. Where are you going to get that?
Like Syed Saddiq also tried.
So that's only these three. Now, many are saying, like my interview that Nick Nazmi interview, he said that he disagreed with my analysis. He said that PH, BN and PN should go head to head, meaning a three-cornered fight. Okay, there will be other parties, but this one just not that important.
They're not big players.
Not big players. So these are the three. Now, if these three goes together, chances are, PH could do quite well if the non-Malays, come out and actually vote. Because who are they going to vote? They're not going to vote these other two, right? The problem here is that if they don't come out to vote, then definitely PH will not win, and it will side with Perikatan Nasional. Now, Perikatan Nasional and Barisan Nasional, they are going for Malay votes. Okay, and the Malay votes are more to the Perikatan Nasional than to the Barisan Nasional, and that's why Akmal Saleh is very important. You like him or not, that man is increasing the Malay votes of UMNO. And one day, if this one, they are confident enough to say that they can actually take the Malays a bit more than the Perikatan Nasional, they will stand alone, not with PH. Okay, but right now Zahid is saying that they must be with PH, because if they stand alone, they will be wiped out. They will be gone. They will not be able to hold on to many seats at all, even less than what they have. So they have to either be with PH or with PN. They have a choice. So they want to go with PH simply because PN is going to drown them, and they will never get to pick a prime minister. With PH, there is a possibility of they can negotiate with PH to have more seats. How are they going to divide the seats? Okay, how are they going to divide the seats? So the idea at the moment is like PH has 82. Okay, then they will defend. I think UMNO has 30, so that one. But then there are some seats, other things, then they can negotiate. Let's say BN has 50 seats. And let's say in the election they have 50 seats, and they are the biggest party other than PKR, and they could actually ask for it being the prime minister. And now 30, what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to do to have much in that sense. But let's say Anwar Ibrahim falls 6 tomorrow, who's going to be the prime minister? It will have to be Zahid Hamidi.
You mean right
now? Yeah, that's why I asked quickly. you think Rafizi? Rafizi is already out. Yeah. Come on lah. Nurul, tak boleh lah. I mean, she's not even in the politics. Where are you going to find a leader? I wish it would be Anthony Lok, but then you can't accept the non-Malay. Anthony Lok is the natural successor, but Mak Sabu? Okay, so who's going to respect this man? Okay, so that's why people don't understand. The transition of politics, you require someone who already has a long line of loyalties and things like that. It's not just about numbers here. It's about who you can work with, who has given this or given that. If Rafizi, is still the deputy president, and he was put in the place to be prime minister, he would be probably gone in about less than a month.
Why?
Because he cannot. I mean, the lines of loyalties to the police, to the army, these are all built in the baggage of history. Okay, when you come in, you don't just inherit an office. You inherit all these lines here. Okay, the promises there, promises this, all these other people. Those are the ones that is the reality of things. If you go and get married to your wife and to their family, you will know that this is also part of real life. You go into a new firm, the politics of this firm, this person, that person, and things like that. Yeah. So let's say I put you as a CEO of one company, then you need to know the ground first. Okay. Now, of course, if you are somebody like Trump, can do all those things because he got the backing of the big party, right? I forgot, Republican or Democrat.
Republican.
Yeah, so he got their backing.
This is what you call I think in America they call it the deep state.
Yeah, no, deep state means there's a small group that's unknown that controls all. I'm saying that Trump, he has the legitimate support. This other person who keeps saying that I don't like PH, I don't like PN, I don't like BN, all of them are corrupt. Okay, what support does that person have?
Yeah, and
you want to listen to that person, go ahead lah. But that person cannot bring change. So in order to have change, you're gonna have to what? I trust person like Nik Nazmi because I know them since Reformasi. I trust Rafizi because I've seen him in action. Okay, I trust Anwar Ibrahim because I know from the past. I trust Anthony Lok. I trust Steven Sim. You need to have people you trust.
Nik Nazmi lost his position as well, right?
Yeah. So if you go in and say I don't trust anybody, well, what is that? Is that realistic?
So Professor, less than, perhaps a year away from GE16. I know it's not easy, but official prediction.
Sorry?
Your official prediction. I know it's not easy.
Okay. Well, I was going to write something and say that if you want true peace in this country, peace meaning no more racial problems and religious extremism, just give the country to Perikatan Nasional. Give it to them. Either vote for them or don't come to vote. Then they will rule. If they rule, I guarantee you there are no more racial things or jalur gemilang or flag being upside down and all that. There's none. Because at the moment, they are the ones threatening the country with all these things. You see? So you want quick peace, you give it to them. But then, of course, you will get a bankrupt country in a few years' time. Okay? And that will happen. So here is there is this group who wants change. They've been talking about change. But now they are in government and they're trying their best. And it's your problem that you do not see that there are already changes there. Okay? If you look for the YouTube, what are changes? You look at Tengku Zafrul. I never liked Tengku Zafrul before this. But then I discovered his YouTube. He used to write for Sinchu. He's still writing for Sinchu. And when I look at his YouTube, he's explaining about the economic this way, that way. Now that is how you actually, show. And I think things are moving. I'm not very good at economy. I don't really speak about it. I don't know. But so I look at him and I say, oh wow, it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Now, okay lah. I know the universities, they're not going anywhere. Okay. so but it's not getting too bad. But it's going to be very slow because the portfolio is given to UMNO, not given to PKR. Okay. So that's another thing lah. Then other things. If you look, there is change, but it's going to be slow, and it's got to be very, very careful. Because if you step on something, then it will explode. You want the explosion? Many people say things like, "Oh, put him in jail." Wow, Malaysians, so direct, Put these people in jail. Throw these people out. Oh, cakap baik sikit lah. This is the wonders of anonymous digital media published by Malaysia Kini. Okay. I read them and say, tak boleh lah macam ini. You want to say something, you have to have a bit.
Oh, anonymous article from.
No, anonymous comment lah. Okay. You look, Malaysia Kini still have that. Okay, Pre-Malaysia Today doesn't have any comment section. Okay, so you look at that. The way people comment is.
Prof. Like for the next year's elections, if it's happening next year and all that, do you see there might be new parties being formed, which is just gonna disrupt, like what Pejuang was?
Okay. Why don't you take that question to Khairi Jamaluddin? Okay, take it right to him, or you can also ask Rafizi Ramli. Why isn't Khairi Jamaluddin forming a party? He's popular enough. A lot of people think he's good because they don't know who he is in the early beginning. But I'm okay. I'm okay with it. But why isn't he? He wants to be back in UMNO. Okay? If you look at his Keluar Sekejap, and I analyze his questions and all the things that he has done, the only thing that has changed, he's become more popular. But the idea of what Malaysia is still UMNO.
Why?
Because it's easy to govern when you have this race thing, But of course, we cannot say that he believed in that, because once you go into UMNO, you have to be like that.
Yeah, it's not that he believes, but probably that's the most convenient path that he sees to operate.
Yeah, so that's the reality lah. But the question about you saying that a third party coming in and all that, why isn't he doing that? He could actually set up something, become president, put up 20 seats, win 15. You can already have a post there working with somebody. No problem there. But why isn't he doing it? Then you got Rafizi. Okay, he himself could, actually do something, but then he's not. He still wants the PKR. He's trying to convince them, those factions that put him at loss, to actually retake the thing.
I wasn't so sure what happened with Rafizi when he lost to Izzah, right? Why do you think he lost?
Okay, I don't know the internal politics. You have to ask Iswardi Morni. You want to interview him? Good, because he's the one who knows all things. Okay, this guy knows politics like nobody's business. Anybody can say anything, I wouldn't trust. This man, Iswardi Morni, I trust. Okay, because I've watched him a long time. He's a lawyer, by the way. Okay, he's a lawyer, and he has insider information, and all that. And he's Sarawakian, so he knows Sarawak politics, but he is also peninsular politics. Okay, not many people can have that kind of a situation. I don't know a thing about Sarawak politics, nor do I know anything about Sabah politics, but he does. Okay, so this man, he go into university, I give him professorship any day. This guy really, through experience, knowledge, and he's also quite intellectual. When he talks about things, he breaks things up and things like that. So so he would be the one to ask advice what could happen and all that, and you can trust his information.
Okay.
Prof, since we're on the topic of Khairi Jamaluddin and all that, in GE14 when Najib lost, right? I mean, when BN lost for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, Khairi was contesting for the president post, but one of his things, or I think a statement he had put out, was he wanted UMNO in specific to be a multiracial party. Like, do you think he was actually genuine with it, or he was just trying to garner support? Or
well, okay, I didn't read that, but it's good to hear that. Because that shows that we have hope. Okay? If he did see that, if you could show it to me, because I've never heard him say that. On Jafar already said that also. Okay? And he was kicked out of UMNO. All right? So that shows he's a good guy. Right?
Oh, he got kicked out right after that?
Oh, yeah. He's no longer president and all that. I don't know whether kick out is the right term, but he then formed Parti Negara, all right, but didn't do very well because of not reading the political situation. Is still along the lines of race. So Khairi Jamaluddin certainly is a prime minister material, whether I like him or not, but he is, and you can also name people like Rafizi. Okay, I don't see Nurul Izzah very much, even though I knew her from Reformasi days, but she has not shown the political savvy that I would expect of a politician. You have to have political savvy, political idea of not just having principles, but how do you work, this way, that way, and all that. And now Rafizi is always what we call data driven, but do you know the politics of given, how to make friends with others and things like that, So these are the things that also make politics. So the question that I ask is that why are they not forming another force? Okay, so if they form another force, what would happen? Most probably Perikatan Nasional would win. Because the votes from the non-Malays would be split between PH, the AP and all that, and with this new party.
You mean they win with
No, they will not win lah.
Okay.
They will lose. That's why they will not, because there's not enough votes to go around. You think Malays are going to vote for Khairi Jamaluddin, new party, multiracial? Tak ada lah. Only non-Malays will, and they will pull out from PH, and so
they have to take it from somewhere else.
So that's how the mathematics goes.
True. Prof, do you think Malaysia should have a parliamentary system where it's just two parties, or we are good where we are at now?
What two parties?
No, it could be any two, conservative and liberalism,
Oh.
just like how it is in
No, I cannot answer that because I I don't know. This is all the party that we know. Now we are entering into what we call a mixed government situation, mixed coalition. Meaning, in other places, you fight. Sometimes you make friends with a few, and then you declare a coalition.
Yeah.
But others are just little parties on their own. And then when you win, then the president will call. I remember a story called Borgen. One of the stories is about Denmark politics.
Yeah.
So this lady, she has a party, and her party suddenly won something like 18 seats. But the government party actually has 40 seats or something like that. But they couldn't form the government because they lost quite a lot of their seats. And then the other so they were supposed to form the government again with some other parties, but they couldn't make a deal. So suddenly she was the one being called to actually form the government, and so she worked with a few other parties and she became the prime minister. But she is only 18 seats, and then there are others and all that. So different parties with their different agendas, so she had to deal with. So this is the reality of the future. You may have your promises, PH promises and all that, but then when you cannot form the government and you have to form it with others, you're going to have to tone down on all these things and then work. So that's the reality. Some people say, oh, you promise, now you don't deliver. Come on lah. What is this? Okay, promise your wife to buy some beautiful thing, you don't have money, what are you going to do? So there. Why so difficult to understand? Saya tak faham lah.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't like sounding somebody like giving excuses and all that. I thought this was reality. So simple reality. You face that all the time in life, and then you expect the politics to be different. Life politics lebih kurang sama sajalah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It seems like Professor is very biased to Anwar, but it all boils down to the same question. If it's not PMX, then who at this moment? You can't see a better option.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my disappointment was when UMNO came to government. I thought, okay, this is a chance for UMNO to actually, change its ways. And I actually 15 years ago gave a talk in Singapore. I said there is not going to be any transition unless the opposition work with Barisan Nasional. It cannot be that the opposition wins totally and then there's nothing. That is shown what happened in 2018. When the opposition won, then you have a whole block of Malays, they caused so much trouble. You must have a block of Malay inside something. Whether it can only be either PAS or Barisan Nasional. That's why, I don't know, I heard some people saying that they are making deals with Parti Islam Malaysia. Not Bersatu. Bersatu is nowhere. Okay, so it's either... You see, what's happening is that UMNO is trying to, jual mahal to the PH in order to get more seats. And these people say, well, we could work with PAS. Okay, and these are the two Malays thing. It has to be like that. Okay, there's no two ways about it. I also don't like having UMNO in PH, but that is the only way. I also don't like actually having Parti Islam Malaysia as is now to be part of the government. Because I can see them, I don't like it, okay? I don't like it. But if they think that is the way to actually forge peace and have a chunk of Malays to appease in a sense of all this racial problem, just give them whatever portfolios they can do, then well, that's the way lah. That's the ugly side of politics. But that is also part of our ugly side of our life. In our, diseases, financial problems, debts, all this. This is us. Okay, so how do we navigate through life? It's also how we navigate through politics. What is so difficult?
I don't think I asked you this last time. I definitely asked Siti Kasim this. Yeah, but Professor, do you think religion and politics should go together? Is there a black and white answer to this, or is there also grey areas? Singapore's PM, Lawrence Wong's stance on this was made crystal clear after several foreigners had tried to influence Singapore's elections using religion. This includes past members from Malaysia. I didn't ask you this right last time.
I was going to write about this. I think I already wrote. and I said that I was an Islamic reformist. I believe in it, but now I don't. You see, so other people who say, that's why we cannot mix religion and politics, but it's already too late. This is the problem. Okay. Now, if you were to ask me 30 years ago, then I would definitely say, no, religion and politics, it's okay because this is the new way, blah, 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 and all that. Then I've seen how it goes, and I saw, there was one problem with religion and politics. Who interprets religion? This is the problem. If you give it to somebody who has no multi-dimensional education background, they just learn it from a religious school, then you got a real problem. Okay? So my answer to you was that I don't think it should mix. I think also that any political party that has a name like Parti Islam Malaysia or Parti Christian Malaysia or Parti Buddhist Malaysia should not be a political party. Religion should not be made an ideological political goal. If you look, Amanah also has religion as a political goal, but they open it to other people. So I do not think that now after looking at everything, not to say I agree with whoever said that religion. I'm saying that I don't think it's a good idea, or will not support the idea of religion and politics. Okay, and I support the idea that we should not have any political party that has either a name religion or an ideology of any religion, including Islam. Okay, but the problem here is that it's already too late.
Understand.
The thing is already out there, and wishing and wanting, and that's why I keep saying to these people, okay, you want that, but it's going to be 60 or 70 years.
If it happens.
For you to actually not go right confront it, but you have to go in a meandering way and all that. You have to work with them first, and then slowly do this and do that. Look at what happened to Lee Kuan Yew. He worked with the communist Chinese, who was very popular then, to get rid of the British. And after that, he got rid of the communists, okay? Because then he had the Singapore that he wanted. So that's how you fight a war, okay? So if you want to elect someone who doesn't understand the realities of war, which is the political war and political strategy, then good luck lah. Okay, there will never be change with people like this. Even though the idea is noble, but the practical side, it's really.
I didn't tell you this, but that's one thing Siti said. He's told me that, Professor, if you ask him a pointed question, whether politics can go with religion, and she said that you would say yes.
Yeah, she doesn't know me, that's why.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't tell you this, but how, you know that this is her
because
thought of you.
It was true, several years ago, but now I've already changed my ways, because good people look at things and then they change. Some people, they don't want to change. So how do you grow when you don't change? Or you don't change means you are not very strong in your principle. Come on lah.
But it's like you knew already that she would say that about you.
Well, of course, because she hates all these Islamists, But Ikram and all that, these are the future. If you want to have a good Malaysia, a fair Malaysia is what we can accept. You have to work with this kind of people first.
I was looking at some of the presidents of Ikram and Abim. They look very. I mean, they appearance-wise, they dress very progressive.
Yes, they are. Well,
intellectuals.
Okay lah, But I also worry about them sometimes. But then they are the only ones at the moment that seems to be a way that we can steer this thing lah. And after that, in the future, if we can steer it in a certain direction, then we steer it in another direction.
Because of the influence that they have, and if you want to compare past to them, obviously they are. Yeah, and obviously both of them also.
But the Malays are with this one because it's very simple. This one is too intellectual, like Anwar Ibrahim lah. Speak. Nobody understands him. Yeah. Too intellectual.
It takes time more. Last one now, okay? Yeah. Burger Lab.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
How come you didn't cover it? Just didn't have the time or didn't come about?
Yeah, always. You, Prof Tajuddin didn't cover it, didn't have time. Come on, I have all the time in the world. There's a reason why I didn't cover it.
Prof, not recently, I can't remember how long, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, the MyBurger Lab incident. MyBurger Lab CEO Andrew Chong tweeted, "Slowly but surely, Malaysia will be taken over by extremism, and we will become like Iran after the revolution. What you see right now should scare you." So he commented this. This is referring to Terengganu new Friday prayers law. He apologized after that, and he got fired shortly after that. I even saw Caprice making a video asking Andrew to come to the masjid to make a public apology. Getting fired was not enough. So yeah, I myself, I know this is not my place to comment on this, not a Muslim or Malay myself. But what are your thoughts on the whole incident, Prof?
Well, first of all, you notice that I didn't write anything or say anything.
There's no videos
or
on
put
your
out
channel.
a statement. No, usually, sometimes I will put out a statement. But in this particular case, I can sense that it is a dangerous thing to do. Okay, even a person like me would not comment on what Terengganu did. I'm not going to say that I agree with it or not agree with it, and that is how dangerous it is. Okay, that's why I do not comment on it. All right, and it was a pity that he did. And this is a message that I am telling the non-Malays when I said this is the reality. Okay, two columnists said, disagree with Prof. Tajuddin. There lah. Okay, you need to know what kind of Islam is out there. All right, so when you respond, you need to know when to respond. Like when you talk to Ikram, you can respond like that. But when you have this kind of thing, you don't respond. Don't say anything. When I say this to non-Malays, I said, look, one of the ways that you can react to any Islamic issue, the best way that I can tell you is don't say anything. Don't say anything. And they don't like it. Free country, freedom of speech. Go ahead lah. Okay? You're lucky your house didn't get burned down. Okay? So don't say anything. Don't give any reaction. Don't put that on your stupid Facebook and say that, oh, it was a private thing. Come on. Don't say anything. Now, if there is anything to be said, then you need to have another Muslim to say it. Okay? So that might temper the thing. What would have happened if the statement or that thing was said by a Muslim? I don't think the reaction would be a lot, but there would be anger to that person. For me, as a Malay, unless you agree with it, then you don't say anything. Okay? Even I, as I said, I did not say anything. And I'm not going to make my thoughts public because I know how dangerous it is. Right? So that's why if Prof. Tajuddin also thought that it was dangerous, the more so that you should think that it is dangerous. So this is the new politics that you need to deal with. Okay? It should not be 30 years ago, statement like that, we wouldn't do anything. Anyway, 30 years ago, there was no social media, so we don't know what. Here we are in the uncharted waters. Okay? We got the digital media, we got all these things, and then we got more Malays into religion, and it's a different world. And I'm trying to warn the non-Malays, this is the real politics. You don't like it, it's fine. I don't like it also. But then I have to live with it, and I have to strategize around it. So when any Islamic issues come, alcohol, whatever, your blood is not halal to others, whatever, then you get somebody else to respond. You go and ask politely, don't put anything there lah. Go and ask another person, and that person makes a statement. Hopefully it's a person from a certain group, not a single person. That one, she can shout all she wants, not gonna do anything. Yeah. Okay, so that is my comment lah. It's best not to comment. And so this is also another political thing. Freedom of speech doesn't mean that you speak all the time. You need to look at the context and the situation. Kalau tidak, susah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so Prof, Malaysians are just perhaps a year away from the next G16 now. What should Malaysians pay attention to leading up to the elections in deciding who they should put their vote in for?
Number one, I think many people are thinking like, what for? Go to vote. All right? This is what in the minds of a lot of people. If you say that there are only these three groups, no Khairi Jamaluddin group, so what for? Go and vote. Now, when you do that, you are actually voting something. You are voting the country to a group of people that will come out in masses to vote, which is the Malays. The Malays will come out masses to vote, and who do you think they're gonna choose? Okay, so if you let this group determine the fate of Malaysia, don't go crying lah. Okay? For me, you need to go out and vote. Okay, that's number one. Number two, who are you going to vote for? Okay? So for me, you have to look very clearly. This party is really for change or what? This party, just because you hear some columnist or blogger from UK saying this, saying that, but these people are not practical. They don't have anything. They only say that this is not good and it should be like this, but what is their plan? Okay, so you need to work with the ones that you can see actually have something, but you have to look at the change and the thing very, very seriously. And some people like to use the word the lesser of two evil. I don't think unity government or Pakatan Harapan is evil. Okay, but if you want to think like that, okay lah. Okay, the lesser of two evils. Which one? Okay, some also say the devil you know and the devil you don't, something like that. So you need to make a choice because that is your responsibility. And in choosing, you need to open up your hearts and your mind, and not to the popular notion of things, but to look at things in a greater depth with an open heart and open mind, not with a popularity rating of something. That is how I will advise.
I think in the last few elections, more and more people have been showing up, right? But if I'm not mistaken, the percentage of Malay voters is growing more, and non-Malays are getting less. But in general, the total overall, it has been more.
Yeah, they said, somebody said there are about 1.5 million Malaysians out there. If they are still called Malaysian, they must come
back home and vote.
Come back, because if not, you will leave the country, as I said, in the hands of, I'm not saying Malays are bad, they are going to make the choice. And in my reading, it's a 35-65 thing, or a 40-60 thing at best. It's not a 50-50.
You have friends that overseas that come back to vote?
No. Yeah. So don't complain lah. I mean, we have the power to do that, but then we didn't do it. So, and I'm sad that the election commission didn't. You should have votes. Like you can vote when you are in Europe and not need to come back.
Do they have that from other countries?
I mean, yes. I heard in France, they when there is a vote, they even send the agents to London or UK for the French people to come and vote. Okay. I think that's what it should be lah. Because there's so many of them there.
As long as you still have citizenship.
Yes. I mean, this is the reality of globalization. You work here, you work there, you are everywhere, but you're still. And so if you see a masses of people in Australia, and then you should have so that it's easy for them to come. You can't expect people to fly in for a single day and vote. Why can't you do that? So this is, I think, the fault of the election commission.
Maybe we don't want to do that.
Of course. Because you know already the outcome. Yeah. So the next best thing is come and visit your parents and your relatives lah.
Yeah, buy the flight ticket.
And buy the flight ticket and put your mark on Malaysia.
Put your money where your mouth is, literally. Okay, Professor, thank you so much for coming to do this podcast the second time. I learned more than I expected from this session. Hopefully the next how many times you come on, I always have the same experience. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Quick shout out to the Coffee Break, our sponsors for the next couple episodes. Coffee Break, a simple, convenient and fun way for you guys to get your news. They do all the filtering for you, so you don't have to pick the most important news of the day. 5 minutes, that's all it takes for you to read their newsletters. And if you guys really want to support this podcast, there's a link in the description below. Click the link and subscribe to their newsletter, and that would support me directly and this podcast. Guys, give it up for the one, the only Professor Tajuddin. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. What you thought about today's episode, who you want to see in the future podcast episode. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you in the next episode. Give it up for Professor Tajuddin.
Thank you.
Missing my homies, I'm missing my oldies, my brothers, my cronies. We all went to court, but before only courts that we knew were the ones where we were shooting three, selling Kobe. To a legend, rest in peace to the old me, rest in peace to my brothers, rest in peace to my whole team. The oldest, I'm missing my shawty.